This month, the Czechs and the Slovaks are celebrating 30 years of divorce. And you'd be hard-pressed to find two divorcees who speak more highly of each other. Begging the question, should they have stayed together? We find an answer to that in last week's video right there, so definitely check that out if you're curious about the most amicable split in history. But in today's video, we'll try to answer the question, who got the better end in the divorce? When it came to awarding custody of the Czechoslovak national anthem, they literally split the baby. The Czech Republic took the Czech verse of the song, Kde domov můj, while the Slovak Republic took the Slovak verse, Nad Tatro sa blízka, as their two new national anthems. No drama. Phew! What's next? Any federal property that wasn't nailed down, like army equipment, trains, and airliner infrastructure, was divided in a 2-to-1 ratio, with the Czechs getting the larger share due to their 2-to-1 ratio of the population. Federal lands were awarded to each country based on where they were located. The Slovaks got the mountains, while the Czechs got the molehills. The High Tatras are a little-known gem of Slovakia. This majestic mountain range is one of the most beautiful in Europe and is a popular hiking destination and skiing spot for locals and people from across the continent. Some Czechs even go there for their final hike. The Czechs got the good beer. Pilsner, Budvar, Kozel, Staropramen, Gambrinus, and Radegast. All of these were brewed in the Czech lands during the existence of Czechoslovakia, and they're still brewed in Czechia today. Beer has been a part of Czech culture since the year 993, when the brewery at Brevnov Monastery in Prague was established. Fast forward to the 16th century, and Budvar was a favorite drink of Czech royalty. The king of beers, you might say. Nope, don't say that. That's a different video. And of course, the world's first Pilsner, Pilsner Urquell, made its debut in Pilsen in 1842, long before the creation of Czechoslovakia. The Slovaks got Zlatý bažant. Maybe you've heard of it. Probably not. Sorry, Slovakia. The Czech Republic also kept the title of the most beer drunk per capita in the world, a title they have defended courageously to the present day. If you get thirsty in Slovakia, don't worry, because the Slovaks got custody of the good wine. Just don't tell the Moravians. Slovakia has 6 wine-growing regions containing over 600 wine-growing villages that house over 400 official winemakers. That's a lot of grapes for a fairly small population. Wine production in Slovakia dates all the way back to the 6th century BC during the Celtic times. So yes, this tradition is even older than Czech beer. Slovakia is home to some unique blends that can only be found in that part of the world. One of these award-winning blends is Rybezlák, or currant wine, which is rarely found outside of Slovakia because the demand within the country is so high that there's simply not enough to export for the rest of us to enjoy. Many say that in the divorce, the Slovaks got custody of all the good food. And by good food, I mean halušky. If you've never tried it, it's basically a small potato gnocchi topped with brynza, a traditional sheep's cheese, and bacon. This simple yet tasty meal is Slovakia's national dish. Other Slovak foods include kapustnica, a soup made with sauerkraut and sausage, and bean soup. The Slovak diet consists mostly of basics like potatoes and traditional cheeses because they have a really strong agricultural background. Czechs, on the other hand, got custody of all the heavy meats and fried dishes, like fried cheese and bread dumplings and pork knuckle. While everybody likes them, they're much heavier than your typical Slovak cuisine. In general, the Czechs like to cook something on a spit until it's crispy and then cover it with sauce, while the Slovak food is based more on what's locally available and more traditionally made. The Czechs got custody of President Václav Havel. Well, kind of. Czechoslovak President Václav Havel was made internationally famous during the Velvet Revolution, only 3 years before the Velvet Divorce. But when the Slovak politicians were making moves towards a split, and refused to support his second candidacy, he resigned his presidency, not wishing to preside over the breakup of his country. The following year, he won the presidency of newly formed Czech Republic in a landslide. The Czech Republic got the western portion of the country, furthering its claim to being Central Europe, which is highly important to them. And factually accurate, but seriously, Central Europe. This means that the Czech Republic is also more susceptible to Western influence than the Slovaks. More people travel to the Czech Republic from the West, simply because it's closer than Slovakia. And along with the Western lands, the Czechs also got a more urban environment. This is an echo of one of the reasons for the split. The Czech side has always been more developed industry-wise than Slovakia. And along with money and industry comes the further development of cities. Cities then attract young people from the villages who want to come and study and work. And where there are young people, there is nightlife. Prague has become one of the top nightlife hotspots in the world. Even the Slovaks say they will come to the Czech Republic for a good night out. The Czechs were happy to let the Slovaks take religion in the final divorce settlement. The Czechs are famously non-religious. Slovakia, however, is still very Catholic. This is especially true in small towns, where you'll often hear traditional songs being sung and Orthodox traditions adhered to during wedding events. This also naturally leads the atheistic Czechs to having more liberal attitudes than the traditional Slovaks. Slovakia got all the friendly people. Slovaks tend to be way more open to foreigners than the Czechs. In fact, especially in the cities, if you're speaking English, they're likely to be curious about you and ask you where you're from, and this might even lead to a longer conversation that's enjoyable for both parties. This might happen with your server in a restaurant or someone on the street that you ask for the directions. The Czechs, on the other hand, mostly are not that way. It's a generalization, and I don't want to jinx my restaurant experience later tonight, but the Czechs are not known for their overt friendliness, especially when it comes to customer service or talking with strangers. Strangely enough, when I think about it, some of my closest friends in Czechia are Slovaks. And lastly, perhaps the most controversial element of the split, the Czechs got the Czechoslovak flag. Well, actually, they didn't. They stole it. During the divorce proceedings, the two countries agreed that neither would use symbols of Czechoslovakia as their own to represent their new countries, including the flag. True to their word, the Slovaks came up with a new design shortly after the split. The Czechs, however, simply never came up with a new design and continue to use the Czechoslovak flag as their own today. While the Czechs are quite proud of this, the Slovaks see it as a sneaky power play. And as much as I love the tricolor, I'd have to agree. So, no massive territorial disputes, no decades-long lawsuit about national monuments. There's a reason this is one of the most admirable splits in history. Did I miss anything major? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you get more videos like this each week. Tak, uvidíme se příště. Ahoj!